The U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, just issued a new advisory on alcohol. And people, it is not subtle. It's saying that even small amounts of alcohol increase your risk of several types of cancer, especially breast cancer. So naturally, we needed to sit down, have a drink, or not, and talk this through.
Honestly, this is how Drinks with the Girls was created because everyone knows what when you say, "Oh, I'm having drinks with the girls," like everybody knows what that means. It means letting your hair down, snuggling up with your besties, getting real and raw and sharing all the ups and the downs of life over a drink. For me, having drinks with the girls in real life is like therapy, honestly, in so many ways. And I can say that I'm really proud that it's also the vibe that you and I, Lisa, have created here with this podcast. And I don't want our name to like get a little tarnished, Drinks with the Girls, because, facts, alcohol isn't good for us. Hi, listeners. Welcome back to Drinks with the Girls. I'm Karen.
And I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell. This is the Drinks with the Girls mobile travel version because I am at a hotel room on a business trip. So, giving you the variety that you deserve. So tonight, oh, buckle up, friends. We are talking about something that feels, gosh, I don't know about a betrayal, but it's definitely been something that we're like, we have to talk about this. And this is kind of a big deal. And it really is something that we feel like we need to be really straight up and honest about with the title of our podcast. So with that air of mystery, I am drinking tonight. I grab the irony will become apparent, believe me. I grabbed a half bottle of Cabernet on my way to check into this hotel because it had been a whole bottle of Cabernet kind of a day, and I knew that that was inappropriate. So I am drinking a Heritage Brown Cabernet Sauvignon from the Columbia Valley in, looks like a 22 vintage. What are you drinking, my love?
I am drinking a Zevia 0 calorie soda, strawberry flavor.
Okay, cool.
It was really warm here. It was like 80 degrees today. So it just it felt appropriate.
And it's like going to be
Yeah.
30 in Bend tonight, but whatever. I'm not bitter.
Yeah, this episode will be interesting. We'll dive in a sec, but yeah, we have some feelings about it per usual.
Shocker.
Yeah.
So here's the story. So the U.S. Surgeon General, or at least the one that was around when this article dropped, and I think it was like right before, was it in January maybe? I'll put it in the show notes. So Dr. Vivek Murthy just issued a new advisory on alcohol. And people, it is not subtle. It's saying that even small amounts of alcohol, like my half bottle to go here, increase your risk of several types of cancer, especially breast cancer.
Yeah, even whether it's drinking a glass of wine a day with dinner or that college style binge drinking, which is on the rise, by the way, in middle-aged men and women. But the new advisory correlates alcohol with 7 different kinds of cancer, including breast cancer and colon cancer.
So naturally, we needed to sit down, have a drink, or not, and talk this through. Let's talk about this, right? Because we always say that we're going to be honest and direct with you, even if it makes us look bad or uncomfortable or embarrassed or whatever. Let's get real. The podcast is called Drinks with the Girls. So we'll dive into that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it felt a little bit like a slap in the face, kind of, just the shock. I mean, and not really shock. Like we all know that alcohol is not the best thing for us health-wise. But I think once the Surgeon General came out with the warning, Lisa and I, we both decided that we needed to talk with you, our listeners, about this because we don't want to have our head in the sand and pretend like it's not a thing. There's no safe amount. Like I think we've had this idea and we've heard it before that, oh yeah, red wine is great for your heart, right? So even that little glass of red wine is officially on the no-no list for cancer prevention. And I was digging into a little bit further, and the Surgeon General felt like people don't really understand the severity of it. And they're seeing more, I think it's gastrointestinal cancers in younger people. And so he felt really strongly that he needed to put strong warning labels on alcohol.
He's just coming out and saying, look, like there's a correlation here, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. Right? I mean,
I think the new findings with younger people, that was the new piece.
we just like got the cows in the barn and shut the door on the pandemic like yesterday. Okay. When we were all eating Cheetos and drinking wine on the regular and being embarrassed about the amount of wine bottles in our recycling just to freaking get through the day, homeschool our kids, do our job, sanitize our groceries. I know I'm just triggered all of you, but right? No offense, but wine was our mother's little helper during the pandemic. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna
I
lie.
mean, alcohol use skyrocketed for midlife women during the pandemic. Like it was a
Mm-hmm.
thing. It wasn't just you and me.
Yep.
See the previous episode when I talked about our grocery carts during COVID, where one was pretty much the alcohol cart and one was the food cart.
Pretty much, right? And I
It
mean,
was it was our coping strategy.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, we're at a different age now. Like I just got this flash. So when I graduated from high school, my graduation present was this trip to Europe that these teachers that we had did every year for the seniors, right? So I went with it was sponsored by these teachers, and we went all over the place and this and that and the other. And it was people that I'd been at school with that were in my classes. And there was this one guy just got rip roaring drunk every single night, like puking drunk. And we were all like, dude, what? He's like, I'm
That's
building up
not
my
fun.
tolerance for college. It's like, here you are in your 20s, you're invincible. I didn't personally even drink until I was 21. So there's that whole culture, right? And here we are, it's later, and we've lost people. I mean, I've lost two people to addiction. We've both lost people to cancer. Shit is real. It's not like, hey, dude, puking out of the bus to build up your tolerance. Like this is life or death now. So
And we're
it's
we're at that age where it's not our parents and their friends that it's affecting, right? Like you said, we're not in our 20s and 30s anymore. It's
yep,
us. It's the issue that's affecting us and our friends, our family, our peers.
yep.
And that's a hard reality.
Yeah, it is what it is. And I mean, my husband's an alcoholic, recovering. He'd put down 12 beers, no problem, in a night. And he was not a falling down kind of drunk. He just got kind of nasty and mean, and God bless him. He kicked in and he's been sober for, gosh, I think about 5 years now. And he went through the pandemic without alcohol. So he is my hero. Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
friggin' impressive, right?
Well, I think the thing that's hard also, there is alcoholism and people that suffer with addiction. And then there's that weird line for everybody else. And I think it's hard because for me personally, it's community, it's the ritual, it's the thing that brings people together sometimes, it's how we bond, and it's the idea that this thing, this cocktail, this drink, this glass of wine that's brought comfort and connection is also raising our cancer risk. I mean, yikes.
Yeah,
And honestly, this is how Drinks with the Girls was created because everyone knows what when you say, "Oh, I'm having drinks with the girls," like everybody knows what that means. It means letting your hair down, snuggling up with your besties, getting real and raw and sharing all the ups and the downs of life over a drink. Usually alcoholic, but sometimes in a coffee shop or in a smoothie bar, but it's comfort, it's belly laughs, and for me, having drinks with the girls in real life is like therapy, honestly, in so many ways. And I can say that I'm really proud that it's also the vibe that you and I, Lisa, have created here with this podcast. And I don't want our name to like get a little tarnished, Drinks with the Girls, because, facts, alcohol isn't good for us.
yeah. It's interesting to think back on that time. I mean, my gosh, we're going on a year. Stay tuned, listeners. You've got some good stuff to bring to you. But honestly, when we're like, yeah, let's start a podcast, right? Still pinch myself and I'm like, the hell were we thinking, right? And here we are. But and I bet you Karen is going to back me up on this. Coming up with the name and getting a name that resonated with us and hadn't been used or abused or whatever was literally the hardest part. I mean, I know Karen
Yeah.
talks about the tech, but like that was the biggest thing. Like we were stuck for a good 6 weeks and
Yeah.
everything that we were thinking of was taken and it was this whole big thing. And I can't even remember how we came up with it, but I think one of us was half joking and the other one was like, there's no freaking way. Like, I'm sure somebody's taken that name. We Googled it, and the only thing, like, if you remember this, but the only thing even remotely connected to us was this guy who's like podcasting out of his grandmother's basement. And the name of his podcast is Drinks with Girls. Like, this is how I'm getting dates. And it's like
Oh my
three
God. How do I not
episodes.
remember that? Jesus.
It's literally like 3 episodes. And you were like, because I think I was Googling it or something. You're like, oh no, what do we do? I was like, yeah, we good. So,
Well, and what it ended up being is so far from where we started. Remember, like the original
yep,
name was Welcome to the Shift Show, which
yep.
was
And like
taken.
a
So
million
yeah,
people had taken that.
yeah. So
But
that's when we had to like, yeah, figure it out.
I actually think about that now and it doesn't fit. Like, I cannot think
Right.
of another name that fits the vibe of this podcast more. And the number one thing people say to us when we have friends or reviews or stuff is like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just sitting down and having a drink or a cup of coffee with you guys, right? So we're really
Yeah.
fiercely protective of that community part of it. And when we came up with the logo, right, it would have been really easy to be like two cocktail glasses, but we wanted to, I think putting the coffee cup in there, I mean, it was very deliberate on my part. And I think it was this idea that the drinks are just the vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about the alcohol really at all. That is just, like you said, that's just the vehicle. That's just the caveat or the thing that gets women together, right?
Yeah.
Is, oh, I'm having drinks with my girls.
Yep.
And it's a safe place. It's saying you're safe here.
Yep.
Whether you're holding a glass of Pinot, a protein shake, or a piping hot cup of black dark roast coffee,
Yeah.
it's a place where women can come together and be seen and feel safe. My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
I think that there's room for both, right? Like, I think that this community we've created, I mean, we're both so protective and this little baby bird that we're nurturing. I think we can have that name and have the community and all that, but still talk about this issue because I think it's really critical and important.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can hold space for both, but I do think that it was important to us to touch on that direct correlation with our name because, like Karen said, like one thing we always said we would do was show up authentically to the table. And so I think that talking about the name keeps us honest. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something that's been out in the news and out in the public. And I feel like if we don't address it, then we're hypocrites because what do? We talk about things that affect women in midlife. And this alcohol, drinking
Yeah.
alcohol, affects women in midlife. So, yeah, we want to just be upfront, be out there, give you the info, let you do your own research, but have the conversation. And that's
Yeah.
that's really what Drinks with the Girls is all about.
Yeah. For sure. So let's rewind for a second here. Let's talk about this whole idea of alcohol as community and like at different phases of your life. I personally didn't drink until I was 21. I was raised a Christian Scientist. It just wasn't kind of in my space, but I very much remember the pressure. You don't drink? Like, why? And I am not going to say that that pressure wasn't at least part of the reason why I finally decided to say, okay, I'm going to drink, because there definitely is that piece of it. I mean, even today when my husband and I go on the cruises for Autism on the Seas, you can't buy a drink package for one person. You have to buy 2 drink packages because they just assume you're trying to scam it. You can get around it, but you have to go to guest relations and be like, so my husband's an alcoholic, which is why, I mean, it's ridiculous. So long story short, we've ended up just not getting the packages, and then I buy a drink if I need to. But I don't think you can have a conversation about this without talking about the social constructs around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember when I had my first drink, honestly. It was definitely in high school. I remember one of my first drinks was Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill.
Oh, damn.
And it was a summer night, with a bunch of kids my age. We were teenagers, middle
Yep.
teens. I don't even remember, maybe 14, 15. And that feels perfect for the 80s, right? I don't know. It just kind of snowballed after that. But then, you get into your 20s and 30s and it's normalized. It is socially acceptable.
Yeah, if everybody was going around shooting heroin,
Yeah.
right? Cocktail parties with heroin. Like, I grew up in a household where my mother did not drink and my dad did. And so I was acutely aware of that kind of tension. Not that they didn't support each other, but I was acutely aware of he's different, she's different. And what that looked like in social circles and how that worked. And there's definitely a line of demarcation in society. They drink, they don't drink.
That's interesting because our moms were such good friends. And I guess I just never realized your mom didn't drink, because my mom loved her cheap jug of screw top Chablis on ice.
Damn.
Yeah.
Go, Patty. You go, girl.
Oh, God.
And here's the interesting part. When my mom really started to fade, I would say maybe the last year. So just to quickly review, Karen's mom passed years and years and years before mine. Mine had breast cancer like Karen's mom did, but passed of Parkinson's. So towards the last 18 months, maybe, of her life, I remember going to this restaurant and my aunt said to her, do you want a glass of wine? And I was like, wait, what? She doesn't drink. She's like, and my mom, well, I've started having a little glass of wine before I go to bed because I find it relaxes me. And I was like, now this is the woman that didn't even take a baby aspirin, like nothing, didn't go to doctors, none of it. And I remember just thinking, like, I mean, I wasn't going to begrudge her, for God's sakes. Like, I knew at that point she was dying. Fine, like, have a glass of Chablis, Renee. But it was just so interesting to me that was like what she picked. Like, that was okay. That was like on the bottom rung. Don't want to do antidepressants. That's way out there, but I'm going to have a glass of wine at night. So, like I said, I didn't begrudge her, but it was just interesting. It was almost like, she quote unquote resists the pressure. So 74 years of life, she doesn't drink.
Maybe she just got to the point and she was like, wow, I haven't done this my whole life and my life is ending and fuck it.
Yeah.
I know you would use those words.
Yeah, no, she would definitely not use those words. Although it was really funny. Okay, tangent here, but we love to go on tangents with our mom. I just totally had I had to tell the story. So I remember, God, we must have been in high school maybe, and we were playing Scrabble. And of course, my dad was not a part of it. He was doing something much more important. So we're sitting around playing Scrabble. And my mom put a word down on the board. My brother's, you can't do that. And I don't know what possessed her, but she leaned over and flipped him the bird. And I was like, what just happened?
I love it.
So she had her moments, and I think that was one of them. But again, like to bring it back from the rabbit hole, I mean, there's people that are professional wine drinkers. There's sommeliers, like my cousin or my step-uncle was a sommelier with a drinking problem. So he had to quit. Their actual jobs, like in the wine industry and the alcohol, beer industry and all of this. And it's just this weird thing where it's like sanctioned in a lot of ways. And so, I don't know. I think I will be processing this for a long, long time. How about you, Karen?
Well, I mean, it brings that relief. And I think, probably for your mom, like when we were talking about the pandemic, I mean, I feel like it's a coping strategy.
100%.
It's like, holy mackerel, the world is crumbling around us. Please pass me the wine or whatever, and
yep.
So I think it's definitely a coping strategy. It's definitely something, and also we get into the habit, I get into the habit of having a glass of wine when I cook dinner.
Yes, me too, for sure.
Now, because, and by the way, menopause wrecks everything.
See prior episode.
The way that you metabolize alcohol as you get into your 40s and 50s is not the same. Your liver does not metabolize alcohol the same. So you feel different. You can't, your body doesn't process alcohol the same way. So that's why you even have one glass of wine and the next day you're like, holy crap, what happened? Did a bus hit me?
Yeah, 100%.
And so those habits that we've developed that we thought were kind of benign, we have to just kind of ask ourselves, do I need to be more deliberate and conscious? The other thing also is that we start to associate having a drink with like kind of a reward.
Totally.
Or like, like the day you've had today, which, girl, I don't blame you for getting that wine. Right. And so it's like you feel like it's either a reward or it's, oh my gosh, I've had a day. I need a glass of wine. And I think there's truth to it. And also because it makes us feel, it takes the edge off. Right. But I think it's also, like I was saying earlier, it's like this habit we get into that it's like, oh, if I've had a hard day, then that's automatically my default go-to is having a glass of wine afterwards. And I think since that warning came out, I've been trying to be more deliberate about my choices and not just going into my default. And, I think that's good. Am I going to cut out alcohol forever? Probably not. But I do notice that I don't feel this. I can't rebound as fast after having a glass of wine or two.
Yep.
And, I just think, I don't want to feel like crap.
It's not a no-brainer anymore,
Yeah. Right.
The other thing that I think we need to talk about is this whole cultural piece. Everybody was always like, the Italians, the Spanish, like they have a glass of wine with dinner, everything's fine. Like the Mediterranean diet, like blah, 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 blah. Like there's low levels of stress. They aren't dropping dead of heart attacks and blah, dee, blah, dee, blah. So everybody was like, sure, I want to be like an Italian, right? I want to have a glass of red wine with dinner.
Sounds good to me.
It's no big deal. It's like the tannins help you. I want to know who wrote that study because I got to say, I feel a little cheated on that one.
Well, I think, like we talked about earlier, alcohol has always been like socially acceptable. Like smoking, like look how long it took us to figure out that smoking kills us.
Totally.
And the three big ones, the three preventable causes of cancer: smoking, obesity, alcohol. 1, 2, 3. So I think it's important that we look at this. And also, can we just also talk about, well, let's see if we're done talking about this first before I go down, before my brain takes over and I go 5 other different ways.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
We never really thought of alcohol as a bad thing around the culture piece, right? Like, yeah, if you were falling down drunk in an alley, but it's like the running of the bulls, right? It's a cultural thing, but people die and people get gored by bulls, and we're like, all right, fine. Like, I just feel
That's
like
a great analogy,
right? And I just feel like the stakes have been raised a bit. So grabbing and reaching for that glass is not as easy as it was anymore, because you go through kind of this piece, right? And just like you, I've been trying to explore other options, like especially this podcast. Like this week, I backed the truck up to my local natural food store and was like, okay, adaptogenic drinks, hop water, blah, blah, blah. Like, I am tired of Karen showing me up. I'm going to find some shizzle to talk about on the podcast, right? Which isn't a bad thing, like to get me to do that. And it's just me in the house that drinks. So if the bottles are piling up in the recycling, ain't got very far to look to blame. So I feel like, and maybe this is a good thing, there are more layers added onto it at this point. Just because it's culturally embraced doesn't mean it's like an easy checkbox.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. You know, so Tony and I have lived here on our property for 3 years, and the sunsets are fantastic. So when we first moved in here, I created a ritual. It's like a happy hour ritual, and it's no matter what we're doing, because he likes to work out on the property, and he'll literally put a headlamp on and work till 10 p.m. if I don't tell him, okay, time to come in. I know he's a nut,
Tony,
and that was my way of kind of getting him to stop working, right? So we created this little happy hour, you know, whenever the sun started going down, you had to grab a drink and meet at our pavilion, and that's where we would watch the sunset. And also it was a great way for us to connect.
That
a cute
sounds
little
amazing.
ritual, right? It is amazing. And guess what? We would always have like an alcoholic drink, right?
Yep.
And then once I kind of started cluing in, like, okay, this might not be a good daily habit. You know, then I was starting to like put something else in my glass. Like I like to do like a sparkling water, a bubbly water with a spritz of lime or lemon, but I drink it in a wine glass, so I feel fancy, you know, and it literally it tricks myself into feeling like I'm having a drink, even though there's no alcohol in it. And I've never tried any of the really cool mocktails. You know, you see them like on Instagram and things, you know, people selling mocktails, because I don't want to get into all the sugar and the weird stuff that's in there. But, you know, you could certainly make homemade mocktails. And I think, too, we need to really, really highlight the fact that menopause, like our hormones in perimenopause and menopause are already out of whack. And alcohol exacerbates sleep problems, hot flashes, depression, anxiety. You know, women 40s, 50s, they're already at higher risk for depression and anxiety. And so menopause and perimenopause, coupled with alcohol, coupled with all the crap that's going down in our lives at that stage, I feel like it's just a recipe for disaster.
So here's one good thing that I think has happened is that it's pushed the boundaries of people working on non-alcoholic things, kind of like you talked about, right? So I have tried non-alcoholic beer. Thumbs up. There's some that's really good. Athletic Brewing is great. Martin really likes them. Non-alcoholic wine, complete another shit. I have not found a wine that doesn't taste like lighter fluid. It's superbly awful. There is a little cottage industry that's developed up here around the non-alcoholic piece and spirits. I have not tried non-alcoholic spirits, but I mean, if that's an offshoot of this, bring it on. Give me all the options, right? And, you know, we've talked about different adaptogenic drinks. When we had Andrea Samadi on the podcast, she talked a lot about hop water. So, I mean, in terms of choice and looking at it differently, awesome, right? Like, I think that's fabulous. And for me, I kind of feel like that's at the end of the day where I land. You know, I have to be more purposeful and I have to be more thoughtful about my choices.
And I think that's our whole goal here. Usually with the topics that we bring to the table on Drinks with the Girls, right? Is to bring awareness and also have us, me, you, and our besties listening, just be more deliberate. Decide what kind of a choice they're going to make, not just fall into a habit or a pattern that may not be the healthiest for us.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's the ritual that we crave. It's the pause that we crave, right? It's frankly what we've talked about, what this podcast represents. It's the community. It's getting together with your girlfriends, having a drink and just letting loose, right? So that's the piece that's sacred. That's the piece that we need to protect and embrace and enshrine, if you will. I am with Karen, like, I don't see myself giving up alcohol. I mean, never say never, who knows? But it's definitely made me kind of stretch that boundary and rethink, right? Like, frankly, if my life is so stressed, like it's been lately, that the only way I can unwind is with a glass of wine a night, I need to push myself to do other things. So I've started to do more yoga. We've talked ad nauseum of my journaling struggle that Karen is committed to. I am trying to push myself to journal more. By the way, as an aside, lost the new journal.
I can't with you.
Dude, I know. Found it, but lost it.
Okay.
Found it, but lost it. And then found the old one that I lost. I don't want to lose it. I'm not like trying to be like sabotage it or anything like that. But my point is that article, these findings has helped me broaden my kind of scope in ways that I don't think I would have done before.
Yeah. And I think too, you look out in the interwebs and people are talking about this now. You have dry January. You have people that are sober curious or sober. And I think it's cool to be sober now.
Yep.
Whereas, maybe 20 years ago it wasn't, or you didn't really hear people talking about it.
It's definitely not a thing. Like, if I had been in the situation I was in my 20s, late teens, when I didn't drink, in this day and age, I don't think people would have batted an eyelash. Even though, like, young people, I don't think it would have been such a big deal. I don't think I would have felt the need to explain myself so much.
Yeah, I hope that would be true today. Like, I hope there wouldn't be the same like peer pressure or just the same feeling like you want to fit in and that's the only way I hope for young people it's not as tough. I don't know if it is or not, but yeah, I would hope that would be true.
I mean, I know that colleges and universities have gotten much stricter about overseeing things like Greek societies. Like, when I go back to my reunion, like, I remember the last time I went, they're like, no, we don't let them do those like drunken parties like we used to. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't, and I was not a sorority member. I know Karen was, but I know for a fact that universities are tamping way down on that stuff. I would love to believe it's for the betterment of youth, but I think it's because they're getting their asses kicked in courts in terms of lawsuits.
Well, right.
And what
kids were dying.
Could mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, kids were dying with alcohol related situations. And so, it's twofold. They're keeping themselves out of court. Yeah. But also they're preventing, hopefully, kids from dying.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your Midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. Plus, I'm beyond excited to announce the launch of my new membership, the Empowered Parent Collective, this March. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together. Cheers.
I think a lot of it also goes back to just like, oh, well, that's just one more thing I can't have, right? Can't have donuts. I can't have fried chicken. I can't, like, I can't have dairy products. I can't have friggin' gluten. Like, what the hell, Now
And
I can't have wine.
I feel like Gen X too is notoriously like, don't tell me what I can't have.
Oh, what?
Oh, just try to restrict me.
Right? See how that goes for you.
Right.
Right? And we've talked about that. I mean, it can be a good thing, but
I think it's just about having the conversation about just reevaluating my relationship with alcohol. Like,
yep.
and deciding how do I want alcohol to be in my life, if at all? No shame. It's about choice. Like we talk about a lot on this podcast. Everybody gets to choose what is right for them.
And it's interesting too, because my kids are now growing up in a sort of kind of similar household to the one that I grew up in, right? They have a recovering alcoholic father, and they know because they can remember when he drank. And like I said, he was never like a stumbling down, like lose his job kind of drunk. He just was like, this is not good. I don't like the person that I am. And he has a very addictive personality. Like he quit smoking, like all the things. But my son will say, and he's heavily on the autism spectrum and very like deliberate about his choices. And he will say, I'm never going to drink alcohol. Alcohol's bad. And like, he's cut me a break. Like he used to be like, Mom, you're drinking again. Like, oh, for the love of God, I'm just having a glass of wine. Like, give me a break, babe. So he kind of accustoms himself to that subtlety, but he will say, I'm never going to drink. That's not what I want for myself. Right. And even my daughter, she doesn't get on the teetotaler bandwagon, but she has not even been curious. Like I'll give her maybe a sip of my wine, right? Because my dad used to do that when I was little. Like that was cool to have a sip of his beer, like, ooh, bonding, right? Jesus. But she has not, to me, shown an interest like, oh, I can't wait until I'm whatever so I can drink. So I kind of feel like this generation coming up, not that they won't drink, but I think a lot of these lessons are percolating down, and it's not like no drinking. It's a more nuanced kind of approach. Maybe I'm being like naive, but I just feel like this new generation, there's another layer there. It's not, I don't know, maybe I'm talking out my ass. You have older children, so enlighten me.
We love talking out our ass here on the podcast.
Yes.
It's our go-to. Yeah. My kids are almost 30 and almost 27. And I think they have the same drinking habits that their dad and I have. My ex-husband, a beer drinker, couple beers after work every day, and then social drinking, both he and I, and I think that's what my kids do also. And we've never really had like big conversations about it, like, which, now I'm like, wow, why is that? Now that I think about it. But yeah, like when we get together, usually everybody will have a drink or something. Like if we go to dinner or I don't know, I'm rambling.
You're not. You're processing. That's what it means when you have a podcast, is you start processing shit that you never thought you had
like
5
therapy.
minutes to process. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll be honest, okay? Part of me feels like this whole thing with the warning labels, and I don't mean to get political, so listeners forgive me, but it's just like, yeah, stupid, it can kill you. It's kind of, you know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like
no duh,
right? Like, no kidding, right? Or don't sue us, or like,
yeah.
I think, in my opinion, the difference between the cigarette marketing and the alcohol marketing, yes, alcohol is marketed as, oh, it's cool, it's whatever. But cigarette marketing, I mean, that's where they really got screwed, is because they were able to prove that they were actively marketing to younger kids versus alcohol, that it's just like, hey, it's the cool thing, right? Total rabbit hole, but funny nonetheless. There's a movie, and I'll put it in the show notes if I can. I remember what it's called. It's called Thank You for Not Smoking. Aaron Eckhart is in it, and it is frigging hilarious. And it's about these lobbyists. I believe he works for an alcohol company. So it's like the ATF, right? Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And so he will get together with his other counterparts, and they have cocktails, and they call it the axis of evil. Right? And some of you may not remember, but I want to say the 90s, whatever, right? There was some comment about I think Bush called it the axis of evil, and it was North Korea, Iran, maybe Iraq. I can't remember, right? But it's hysterical because they go through this whole thing of like, that's their job, and they do this. Anyways, squirrel. It's funny.
I think for me, one of the most important things that for this episode, it was number one, to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the name of our podcast is Drinks with the Girls, and the Surgeon General just came out with this warning, right? So check, we've done that. I think the other thing for me that was really important is that we just highlight how when we're in perimenopause and menopause, how alcohol affects us, and to be aware of that. You know, like I honestly didn't know until I started learning more about menopause and how it affects my body. I didn't realize that alcohol is part of my menobelly. That is part of the reason that I go to sleep fine if I have a glass of wine. But guess what? I wake up at 3 a.m. and think about
oh my gosh,
things.
Seriously.
And then it makes
right?
my anxiety worse. And so it wasn't until I realized all of this. So I think that it's important that, you know, our listeners know that. And then also the health implications. Alcohol also increases osteoporosis, affects our heart. And I mean, just so many things, right? And like you said earlier, we knew this. Like we know alcohol is not great for us.
It's not a vitamin,
so
for God's sakes. Like,
right. Right.
Hello.
So I think the important thing is just deciding how are we going to move forward with whatever information that we have.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about being informed, right? Like I'm sitting here eating garlic bread and drinking wine in a hotel room, talking to my bestie, right? It's god awful for me, but I've had a horrible, shitty day and an even worse week. And I am making an informed choice to splurge a little, right? Am I going to do this every night? No. I'd rather talk to Karen every night, but that's a whole other thing. I mean, I think it is being informed, and that's really the bottom line. So yeah, I agree. I feel like we've checked the boxes, right? Like we could not that we felt guilty, but we pride ourselves in being really honest. And we felt like we really had to bring this conversation up, given the title of the podcast. And the other thing as being really transparent about where we kind of sit on all this, right? Like I'm drinking a glass of wine. I'm talking about alcohol use on a public podcast, right? Like I am very aware of the contradiction that not even implies that is. But I think just being informed and making choices and not pretending and not blowing it off. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's part of being a friggin' adult, which I hate. Being an adult sucks. But
yes, my daughter would agree.
My daughter said the same thing the other day. She's like, I don't know if I want to be an adult. It sounds like it kind of sucks. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't kind of suck. It really sucks.
It's pretty, there's no manual for it.
No.
I think transparency and authenticity are our goals that have always been, and just dealing with this topic head on. And I mean, is it a huge, deal breaker? No, but it's something that I think it's just important to have the conversation.
Yeah, be thoughtful.
And I think what you talked about earlier, which I think is really important, is, you and I don't remember exactly your word, but if alcohol is part of your self-care toolkit, then we need to build up your self-care toolkit. So, and I'm not saying you, Lisa, I'm just saying the general you.
It's okay.
Yeah. if alcohol is the number one thing in our self-care toolkit, we need to
Take
look
a
at
yoga
that
class.
and
People like
put find your damn journal
freaking hell
or whatever.
I'm cursed. I need an Apple tag for it or something. It's like
Yes,
really.
you do.
And the sucky thing is, it always happens when I'm looking for it. God damn it! I'm trying to be good. I'm looking for it and I can't find it, and I'm always just like, oh God, Karen, would kill
Keep
me
it in
right
the
now.
same place.
I try. It keeps getting moved, and then I put it in the place where I'd always find it. I forgot where that place was. I have a problem.
Oh, you just have too many balls in the air. That's why.
Yeah,
It's hard to
listeners,
focus on your journal.
Well, you've either wasted or enjoyed another 45 minutes, depending on where this episode lands in the edit room with Drinks with the Girls. As always, thank you for being here. Please leave us a review. You heard the information about the Pod Squad. For all y'all slipping on your treadmills to try to get a copy of the show notes, you don't have to do that anymore. We got you. Join the Pod Squad, and the show notes go right to your inbox. You can forward it to your girlfriend that needs to hear this episode. So definitely do that. I don't know. Karen, you got anything else?
Well, I just, we like to keep the conversation going. You guys know where to find us, I think. We're on all the socials. Lisa and I have our own social media accounts as well. So if you have feedback, leave us a 5-star review. That would be fantastic. But if you have, topics you want us to cover, if you have feelings about this podcast, if you want to educate us, if you want to keep this conversation going, we are here for it. So let us know what's happening with you. We don't want to just talk at you. We want to talk with you and share with a girlfriend because, we're just trying to get Drinks with the Girls in more earbuds. So you can help us do that.
Truth. All right, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.